Tonight, we're not just telling a story. We are tracing the shape of a life that moved through art, war, and resistance, without ever losing its rhythm. This is not only the story of a dancer. This is the story of a historical force. Her name was Josephine Baker. She was born in 1906 in St. Louis, Missouri, into a world that had already decided how little it would give her. She was born black. She was born poor. She was born female. And in early 20th century America, that meant limits before possibilities. Her childhood was marked by hunger, by domestic labor before adolescence, by violence she could not escape, and by a country that refused to see her as human. But even in those early years, Josephine Baker possessed something rare. Not talent alone, but instinct. An instinct for movement, an instinct for survival, an instinct for transformation. She learned to dance not in studios, but in streets, in backrooms, in the margins. By her teenage years, she was already performing in vaudeville shows, often placed at the very end of the line, because black performers were not meant to lead. In America, she was allowed to entertain, but never to dominate. And Josephine Baker was not built for permission. So in 1925, she left. She crossed the Atlantic and stepped into Paris, a city that would not ask her to be smaller. In Paris, Josephine Baker became something new. She became the first black international female superstar. Her performances were revolutionary, not because they were perfect, but because they were free. She danced with humor, exaggeration, playfulness, turning the racist caricatures expected of her into weapons of irony and control. Her famous banana skirt dance was not submission, it was dominance. Paris crowned her, not as an exotic curiosity, but as an artist. She sang, she danced, she acted. She became one of the highest paid performers in Europe. Artists, writers, intellectuals, Picasso, Hemingway, Colette, saw in her a symbol of modernity. Josephine Baker helped define what we now call 20th century popular performance. She changed how the female body moved on stage. She changed how black femininity was seen globally. She changed what entertainment could represent. But history had other plans for her. When World War II arrived, Josephine Baker did something extraordinary. She did not flee. She did not hide. She enlisted, using her celebrity as camouflage. She became an intelligence agent for the French resistance. She transported classified information, written in invisible ink, hidden in sheet music, carried across borders during tours. She hosted diplomats, officers, spies, listening, observing, remembering. She risked execution, not for applause, but for principle. For these actions, France awarded her the Croix de Guerre and the Légion d'honneur, decorations reserved for war heroes. After the war, Josephine Baker returned to the United States as a decorated veteran, and still, America segregated her. Hotels refused her. Restaurants denied her service. Venues demanded separate audiences. Josephine Baker refused. She made equality a contractual requirement. No integrated audience. No performance. This stance forced desegregation in venues across the country, years before the civil rights movement reached its peak. In 1963, she stood beside Martin Luther King Jr. at the March on Washington. She was the only woman to address the crowd. She spoke not as a victim, but as a witness to what courage could accomplish. Later in life, Josephine Baker made one final statement to the world. She adopted 12 children from different nations, religions, and races. She called them the Rainbow Tribe, not as symbolism, but as practice, a living argument against racial hierarchy. When she died in 1975, France honored her, with a full military funeral. In 2021, she was inducted into the Pantheon, France's most sacred resting place for national heroes. She was the first Black woman to receive that honor. So who was Josephine Baker? She was a dancer who changed movement, a singer who crossed cultures, a spy who changed wars, an activist who forced equality, a mother who challenged hatred. But above all, she was proof that art can be resistance, that joy can be political, and that survival can become legacy. If you listen closely now, beneath the silence, you can still feel her rhythm, not fading, not finished, still moving through history.